This
Yep.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the ICG's Digital Academy webinar series. I'm Sally Alsop, the ICG committee member responsible for running our webinar programme. So for today's webinar, Chantal Cornelius, founder of Apple Tree Marketing, will be showing you a simple way to plan your marketing for 2023. That will keep you off the feast and famine roller coaster for next year and beyond. Chantal set up Apple Tree Marketing in 2000 and since then has helped hundreds of consultants and trainers grow their businesses. She provides simple, practical and down-to-earth advice to help small businesses to grow. She has written and published 2 books on marketing and business survival and is regularly asked to speak on these subjects. Chantal successfully uses her planning techniques to make sure that her business and those of all of her clients stay off the dreaded feast and famine roller coaster. She can do the same for you. Chantal is happy to take questions at the end, so please type your questions into the chat box as we go along, and I will read them out when she's finished her presentation, or you can turn your webcam on and raise your hand and you can ask the questions yourself. So before I hand over to Chantal, here are some more webinars and events we've got planned for you leading up to our ICG Christmas lunch at the beginning of December. Don't forget that we're able to offer great value sponsorship opportunities with each of our webinars. Sponsorship normally costs £120 for a lot of exposure on our website, mailers and social media, and of course on the day. Please contact Lucy if you would like to know more. And so our speaker today is Chantal Cornelius, founder of Apple Tree Marketing, and I shall now endeavour to hand over to Chantal.
Thank you, Sally. And as part of that, Sally, if you can let me share my slides, that would be wonderful.
Hang on a second, let me bring you back. Chantal. Make presenter.
While Sally's doing that, hello and good morning, and lovely to have you all here. If you would like to turn your cameras on and give me a wave, please do, because it's much nicer talking to real people rather than blank screens. There we go. Hi, Paul. Thank you. As a real person. Oh, Alison's waving. Lots of people waving. That's lovely. Right. So have I just shared my screen? Oh, I have.
You have. Yes, it looks good. If you could put it on full screen mode.
There we go. Oh, isn't
Perfect.
technology wonderful? Oh, Peter's getting his steps in. Are you on a treadmill or are you just pacing around there? Oh, what a fab idea. Love it. That's really cool. Wonderful. So yes, good morning. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see so many of you here. Feast and famine. Let me introduce you to the Feast and Famine roller coaster. Some of you may know about this already. You may have ridden it before. You get a lovely new project in from a client. You start doing the work. It's really juicy bit of research that you can get your teeth into, and you're being paid nicely for it, and you're busy doing it, and it's great. And then it comes to an end, and the client's paid you, but there's nothing more to fill the gap. But that's okay, because you've got lots of time. You haven't got any work to do, so you've got lots of time. You haven't necessarily got very much money, but you've got lots of time. So you can do lots of marketing, and you can post madly on social media, and you can go out and do lots of online and offline networking and write some articles and do lots of marketing. And oh, all of a sudden you get new clients. It's great. Might not be the best client, but it's fine. You take them on because you need the money, and you get your teeth stuck into the next project, and that's wonderful. But you're too busy to worry about the marketing, but that's fine because you've got a client. And then that project comes to an end and you're back down there again. So you rush around and you do more marketing. Up, down, up, down. Anyone been there? Yeah, I have. It's not much fun. It's stressful. It's hard work. Fear not, because what we're going to talk about this morning is how to get off the feast and famine roller coaster. I've been running my marketing business for over 22 years, and I've been through feast and famine, which is why I speak about it now and why I wrote a book about how to get off the roller coaster. So that's what we're going to go through this morning. I'm going to share 4 really practical steps that you can take. I'm all about practical, straightforward, simple marketing. So there's going to be nothing too complicated. It's all about looking at the strategy of your marketing before you run into the tactics. I've been involved with the ICG for a while now. It's probably been about 4 or 5 years. I've run a number of webinars for the members, and I spoke at an AGM a few years ago when we were allowed to be in the room as we are back now. So been around a little while. I've got various clients who are ICG members, so I know a little bit about marketing for consultancies. So please ask me questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through the 4 steps, and at the end of each one, I'm going to take a breather, have a slurp of coffee. So if at that point you have a question, please switch your video on and wave at me, raise a hand. If you can do a digital raising of hand, that works too. If you want to pop a question, type it somewhere, but otherwise just raise a hand and ask. If while I and other people are speaking, if you can keep yourselves on mute, because that also keeps the background distractions away, that would be really good. But as you have a question, if you have a question, raise a hand and wave and unmute, and I will come to you, because there are no silly questions. If there's something you don't understand, please do ask. Any questions so far? Does that all sound okay for this morning? I'm having a few nods and a few thumbs up, so wonderful. Right, let's get cracking. So part one is about situation. It's about thinking about where you are now in your business. It can be really tempting to rush off into doing some marketing, thinking, well, I need to get more clients, I need to get more business, therefore I'm going to go networking, or I'm going to revamp my website, or there are so many different marketing activities that you can do. What's really important is that you know where you are now. It would be like me saying, okay, I'm going to go and walk 62 miles for charity, which I actually did this summer. But it would be like me saying, I'm going to go and walk 62 miles tomorrow, without thinking, how fit am I now? How far could I actually walk? When my partner and I signed up for the 62-mile walk, it was done over 2 days. It was run in July, and I think we signed up in about November. And we did the where are we now question in November, and we both said, well, we could walk about 6 miles without hurting ourselves. So we knew what we needed to do, but we could start formulating a plan of what we needed to achieve. So it's really important that you know where you are now. And one of the key elements of this is knowing what makes you stand out. That's why there's a picture of a tree. This is taken. I live in Berkshire in the south of England, near the Ridgeway, which is an ancient track, which is actually what we walked along in the summer. But I took this photo one winter because I saw this tree and I thought it's standing out. It just sort of jumped out at me. So it's really important that you know what makes you stand out, what makes you different. You might have heard of USPs, unique selling points, or unique selling propositions. I'm going to let you into a little secret. They don't work. Traditional USPs do not work for consultancy businesses, because they will, if you have a traditional USP, it will be something like, well, I'm better than everyone else, or I'm cheaper, or I'm quicker. The problem with traditional ones is, firstly, you never want to be cheaper than anybody else, because you're never going to make any money that way. But the other reason is that most people will end up saying the same thing. So think about the emotions that your clients feel when they're working with you. Now, I don't have time to go into this in too much detail today, but maybe Lucy and Sally, I could come back and do another webinar on this, because I'm actually writing another book about the emotional buying decisions that our clients make. And what I've identified is 5 standout strategies based on how your clients feel. So the first one is certainty. This is where clients will come to buy from you because they know that you're a safe pair of hands. It's not fun and funky and exciting, but they know that you will deliver what you need them to deliver. And that's why my clients work with me, because they know I'm a safe pair of hands. I just kind of get on and tell them how to do it. The second strategy is about connection. And this is where clients will ask you to work for them because you can connect them to the other people that they need to know. Networking groups. In fact, the ICG, probably connection is a really good strategy for the ICG to use to promote itself, because it's about connecting all of you different members. So I know, because I've worked with some of the members over the years, I know that if a client approaches somebody with a certain piece of work and it's not the right sort of work that you want to do, you've got a network around you. You can go to other market research companies and say who can help. So that's connection. The third is contribution. And this is about clients working with you because you can help them to contribute to something bigger. Charities, when they get it right, contribution works really well for them. We give money to charities because it makes us feel good. And it makes us feel that we're doing something outside what we're sort of currently focusing on, that it's not all about the money. The fourth one is growth. This is where a client will book you to do some work because they need your help they need you to help them grow their business. So this could be applicable for quite a few of you. And it's about growing their business probably through the research that you're doing for them. And the final one is something called significance, which is about helping your clients to stand out. And again, I see this quite a lot with research companies. So a client may come to you because they need some research that is going to make them stand out. How on earth do you figure out which is your strategy and what makes you different? The best way is to listen to what your clients say. Listen to what they say about how they feel when they work with you. And you can always ask them, you can say, how do I make you feel? Or how do you feel at the end of a research project? How do I feel during a project? I'm currently doing some work with an ICG member I'm their client, and I feel thoroughly looked after. It's fabulous. And I knew that would be the case when I took them on. So that's really nice. So talk to your clients. So that's stage one. Get clear on where you are now and what makes you different, what makes you really different. Any questions? Because I know there's quite a lot to take in there. Anyone got any questions? I've stunned them all into silence, Lucy and Sally. Excellent. If you think of a question that you'd like to ask as we go through, raise a hand, type something in somewhere, and I can then come to you. There's a lot more about this on my website as well, so you can have a look there, and I'll share the details later. So you've looked at where you are now. The next point is to think about where you're going. And I was walking up on the Ridgeway. It was this beautiful winter's day, and I had my two dogs with me. I had two border collies at the time. And the one in front, you can just about see there, he'd stopped because he kind of stopped, and then he turned and looked at me as if to say, where are we going, Mum? Because we got to a crossroads. So this is about being really clear on where you're going with your business. You've identified where you are now, and let's say you've said, okay, I've got 5 clients at the moment, or I've got 5 pieces of work booked in over the next couple of months. Where do you want to be? How many clients do you want to be working with over the next year? How many projects do you want to be working on at any time? How much money do you want to be bringing in from those projects? What's your annual turnover? This is actually a really good time of year to be thinking ahead for next year. I'm encouraging all of my clients now. It's the end of October as we're recording this, and I'm getting my clients to be thinking about where they want to be in 2023. It's better to do it now than wait until January or even later and go, oh, actually, where do I need to be? Spend some time thinking about it now. The other reason for doing that is this will help you get off that feast and famine roller coaster, because it's really important to plan ahead. It's important that you don't leave it until the project you're working on has finished before you go, oh, okay, what next? The best way I've found of setting goals for businesses is by starting long term. So think about where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years time. The length of time that you're looking at is entirely up to you, and it also depends on how long you've been in business. So I've been playing this game for a while now, so my current long-term strategy, I'm looking for the next 5 years. But if you've only been in business for a year, your long-term goal might be get through the next 12 months, and that's absolutely fine. It's about picking a goal that works for you, that inspires you. One of my clients who I'm working with closely at the moment is looking to sell her business in 10 years. She's actually been in the business for 30 years, but she wants to, her daughter joined the business about 3 or 4 years ago. And when I had a session with them last month, they said, actually, what we'd really like to do is grow the business to the point where we can sell it in 10 years' time. Now, that's a fabulous goal to have, and I'm really pleased that they've identified it now, because it gives us 10 years to be working on this. You know, if they said to me, actually, we want to sell the business next month, it's never going to happen. The business at the moment is not saleable because it's just the two of them in the business. So we need to be looking now at what needs to be done. So their long-term goal is 10 years out. We've come back from that and we've set a 5-year goal, which is to grow the business to the point where we can then start thinking, okay, what do we need to do next to sell it? So in 5 years' time, we will have grown the business. It won't necessarily be ready to sell because they want to do that in 10 years. They want to run the business for another 10 years. But they want to have a business where we can sit down and go, okay, we've got a really strong business, we've got a great turnover, we've got a great team on board. Now we can spend the next 5 years building the business that can be sold. And at that point, it might not be a case of growing the business in terms of size and turnover, but it might be changing the business so that it becomes much more saleable. So that's their medium-term goal. We've then come back even more to a short-term goal, which is for 2023, and it's about doubling their turnover. Now, for them, it's a big jump, and it means there's going to be a lot of marketing and a lot of work involved. And one of the big areas we've looked at is actually growing their team. But it's fine because we've set the goal. And when they said we want to double our turnover, I challenged them on it because that's part of my job and said, are you sure? Talk me through that. And we explored what it might involve to double their turnover. So for them, it's not just about taking on new clients. They are very much known for being a safe pair of hands. And I said to them, if you grow your business too quickly, you're not going to be able to look after your clients the way you have done for the last 30 something years. So we are looking at how to grow the business through taking on more clients, but also building a team around them. And that's why it's really important that you have goals, because if you just wake up tomorrow and go, okay, next year I'm going to triple my turnover, well, you might be able to, but you really need to think about how you're going to do this. And it's not about saying I'm going to triple my turnover in the next week. You know, you might be doing it over a year, but start thinking long term, bring it back to medium term, and then short term. As I said earlier, if you've only been in business for a short time, your long-term goal could be get through the next 12 months. That's absolutely fine. So in that case, your medium-term goal might be for the next 6 months, and then a short-term goal could be 1 month. Please excuse if you can hear clicking going on. It's because my office assistant is in the room. It's the dog. She's in the office today and she's getting bored and she's tip-tapping around, clicking on the floor. She's being parked. So that's all about setting goals. Anybody got an exciting goal that they're going for, either next year or long term? Anyone brave enough to share with us? Everyone's hiding. If you don't have a goal, long term, medium term, or short term, it's absolutely fine. And I often meet clients, prospects, people when I'm out networking who haven't a clue where they're going. What's really important is that you set some goals, because it will really help you get off the feast and famine roller coaster. Your goals can also be around the type of clients that you want to work with and the type of work that you want to take on. So it can be really tempting when you're down at the bottom of the roller coaster thinking, I haven't got any more work coming in, I haven't got any money coming in, so I can't really afford to do much marketing. I'll take on whatever work comes along. That's fine to a point, but I would urge you to be careful not to take on too much of the wrong sort of work. I've been there, I've done it, I've taken on work that I thought, well, this is kind of okay and I could do with the money, and it never works out. that well. So really think about the type of clients, the type of work that you want to be doing, and be putting that into your long-term goals. Shall I forge on? Shall I just keep going? Getting nods. Okay. We've looked at where you are.
Can I just
Well,
throw one thing out there? So I'm just wondering, there are a number of us probably who are within the next 5, 10 years looking towards more a retirement plan. So I mean that could be an alternative goal rather than expansion and sale of a business. Just
absolutely.
reaching a point where you can actually stop working.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Thank you, Sally. So it's a very good point. And yeah, at some point we all need to retire, unless you're just going to keep working and working. The client I mentioned earlier, the reason she wants to sell her business in 10 years' time is because she wants to retire. So selling the business is her retirement fund. And again, that's why it's really important, if you are thinking about retiring in, say, 5 years' time, to be planning and building a business now that you can sell it for a decent chunk of money so that you can retire. Because what you don't want to do is suddenly go, oh, okay, I'm going to sell my business in 2 years' time and walk away with not very much money because you haven't got a saleable business. It's an interesting challenge for those of us running service businesses, where our clients are buying us and our time and our expertise and experience. And that means that when we leave the business, what do people buy? And that's why it's really important to be thinking, yeah, if you're looking to sell, if you're looking to retire, be planning, what are you actually selling? What are you leaving behind? Really important to be thinking about that. So yeah, it's a good point. Thank you for raising that, Sally. We've looked at where you are and what makes you stand out. We've looked at where you want to be. The next element to look at is, how are you going to get there? Where the dog stopped on the Ridgeway, it was really good timing, because he stopped right next to this signpost, which has quite a lot of pointers on it. And that's sometimes how it can feel, like how do I get there? Which of these routes do I take? I like to simplify it into 4 different areas, 4 different strategies, if you like. The first one is actually usually the simplest way of growing a business if you've been in business for more than a year or so. And it's about selling more of what you already do to your existing clients. So clients who are already buying research from you, talk to them about what more they need. What other projects do they have coming up? Don't wait for them to come to you, or don't wait to hear that they've gone somewhere else. The more involved you can be with your clients and their planning, the more likely they are to work with you. Now, I know that with a lot of big companies, they have to go out to tender, and that quite often you'll be on a list of preferred suppliers, and they've got to go out to tender to 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 companies. But what you want to do is make sure that you are on that tender shortlist. And the way to do that is keep in touch with your clients, have regular conversations with them. I'm going to have to mention the C word because it's the end of October, Christmas. If you haven't yet ordered or bought any Christmas cards, please do so. If you've got addresses of your clients, which you really ought to have, send them Christmas cards. I'm either sad or organised, I'm not sure which. I order my Christmas cards. This year I actually ordered them in May, which is crazy. But the company I buy them from sends a chunk of money to charities, and I get to choose which charity I'm supporting each year. And it's always something that's really personal to me or one of my clients. And the earlier I buy them, the bigger the discount I get. So they arrived in June. They're in the cupboard. They will be coming out in 2 or 3 weeks' time, and I will start handwriting them. I'm only sending about 50 this year, but I will handwrite every single one with my beautiful turquoise inked fountain pen. So I handwrite the envelopes, I handwrite a note inside and stick a stamp on, and I get them in the post kind of the first week of December so that they get to people before they go off for Christmas. I don't send Christmas cards to my clients who are Buddhist or who don't celebrate Christmas. I might send them a New Year card instead. But it's just a really easy way of keeping in touch. Over the years, I've seen a lot more people go for email Christmas cards. I delete email Christmas cards that I receive because they are so hideously impersonal. I particularly don't like the ones that say, we're not sending Christmas cards because we're sending money to a charity. If you're going to do that, tell me which charity and tell me how much money you're donating, because my Christmas cards cost me about £150 a year. I give a lot more than that to charities through the year, through the fundraising I do and through regular donations. So for me to say I'm not sending Christmas cards, I'm doing a donation, it's not that much money. But if you're going to do it that way, tell your clients where the money's going, what it's being used for, and how much you've sent. But Christmas cards, they are a fab way of keeping in touch with your existing clients. Think of other ways that you can keep in touch. I have a perpetual calendar hanging on the wall here that has my clients' birthdays on. So I send them birthday cards. I send all sorts of fun and funky things to help people celebrate when they've got a new client or when something happens, or launch of a new website. That we send out stuff. Email newsletters. I'm a big fan of email newsletters. My newsletter Scribbles goes out on the third Wednesday of every month and has done for years, and it's just a really nice way of keeping in touch. Pick up the phone, go and have meetings and drink coffee and have lunch with your clients as well, because we can do that again now. So it's about keeping in touch with your existing clients and saying to them, what's coming up? What plans have you got for more research? What do you think you might need to do some research into? Spend time with them and really getting to know them. So that's the first strategy. The second strategy is about selling new services to your existing clients. And again, you do this through keeping in touch. It's about having a conversation to say, what else are you looking for? What else could we help you with? Because if you're a trusted supplier, they might say, well, actually, we really need some help with this. Can you help with that? The other thing that you can do is, if you're looking to develop something new, it might be a new research technique. I have clients who do syndicated research as well as individual research for clients. So they can go to their existing clients and say, look, we're doing this syndicated research. Would you like to be involved in it? If you've decided that actually you want to run a workshop, or you're writing a book, promote that to your existing clients first. They already know, like, and trust you. They're already paying you some money, so talk to them first. Once you've done lots of work in strategy 1 and strategy 2, then think about the third one, and this is about selling your existing services to new clients. And one of the best ways of doing this is by asking for recommendations for your existing clients. My favorite line, which I learned a couple of years ago, that you say to a client is, knowing what you know about me now, who else do you know who needs this sort of help? Knowing what you know about me now. This could be you talking to somebody in a team or a department of a large organization. Knowing what you know about me now, which other teams in your company might need some of this help? Or who do you network with in your industry who might need some help? Who can you recommend me to? It's a really nice way of asking for referrals. Ask your existing clients, because they know you. They know what a great job you can do. Talk to them about the problem that they have and how you solved it for them. And that's what they need to hang the recommendation, the referral on. Two other ways of focusing your marketing for existing services to new clients. Networking, really, really powerful way of promoting a service business. You can network with other ICG members. You can network locally. There are so many networking events now that are still running online. You can network all over the country, all over the world, without having to leave the comfort of your own office. So look at networking events that you can go to where you can meet other people. If you are happy speaking in public, then offer to talk at events, offer to run webinars for the ICG, sharing your expertise, offer to speak at networking events. About a third of my new business comes from me speaking at events. A third of it comes from me turning up at networking events, and the other third actually comes from referrals. So those are the top three for me. Something else to throw into the mix, though, is content. So if I recommend, let's say I recommend Lucy to one of my colleagues, the first thing that colleague is going to do is go and look Lucy up online. They're going to want to see a smart professional website. They're going to need to see a smart professional LinkedIn profile that shows what Lucy does and that shows that she does what I've told the colleague she does. Make sure that whatever you put online is super professional, but also so that it's helpful. A LinkedIn profile and a website, it's not just about me. It's not me, I'm great, I'm wonderful. It's about your clients and who they are, how you work with them, what results you've got for them, testimonials. It's also about sharing your advice and experience. So, for instance, on my website, there are years worth of newsletters. All the back issues of Scribbles go on there. There are loads of blogs there. There are webinars. In fact, I think there might even be some recordings from previous ICG webinars from way back when. So there's masses of material that you and anyone else can go and find. It's all completely free. If you want the newsletter, yes, you have to sign up, because then I can send it to you through MailChimp. But everything else is free. It's all there and useful. I never get any work directly from my newsletter or any other content, but it's a backup. So somebody might say, oh yeah, so and so recommended you, and I went and read your newsletter and watched the video on your website, and so that's how it works. That's strategy 3, selling your existing services to new clients. There is strategy 4, which is about selling new services to new clients. This would be taking a brand new product or service that you haven't really even tried out and tested, and you're trying to sell it to people who've never even heard of you. Mostly what we do with strategy 4 is keep out of it. It's expensive, it's risky, it's best if you can keep away from it. When you're brand new in business, you do have to go in there. I remember when I set my business up, it was a brand new service. I was actually working as a copywriter. I just wrote content for people's websites and newsletters and press releases and magazine articles back then. And I didn't have any clients to go to. So it was a new service to new clients. But unless you are brand new, please avoid that box if you can, that strategy. And the reason for avoiding it is because you've not tried or tested it, and the people you're trying to sell it to don't know you. My next book is coming out next autumn, and the first people I'm going to be promoting it to are the people I already know. So it's going to be a strategy 2 for me. It's going to be a new product going to existing clients. So if you can, avoid strategy 4. Right, I need to drink some coffee. Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything not clear? Anyone still awake? Paul's still awake because I can see him grinning. It's just you and me then, Paul. Oh, there's Sally. Hello. And Peter. Peter's still going on the treadmill. How many steps are you doing today, Peter? Or how many miles?
I've done 2 kilometres so far, so a little way to go yet.
Fab. How many kilometres can you do in a webinar?
Oh, 5 maybe.
Wow, that's good.
I feel like speeding up.
That's brilliant. So any questions? Anything not clear about what I'm rattling through here? Everyone all right? Cool.
Alison, I'm going to ask a question if that's all right. It's Paul here.
Yeah,
just
okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'll
give you a bit more of a rest.
Right, hang on a sec, Paul. Hang on. I'll do Paul and then Alison Johnston. I'll come to you next. So yeah, Paul, go for it.
So you've just outlined those 4 sort of strategies in terms of how to meet your objectives and how to grow. In your experience, and it's obvious that you think 4 is kind of a bit scary and a bit probably risky, but of the other 3, I can see how they are, necessarily 1 is easier than 2 is easier than 3, but which are the ones in your experience that give you the most growth? Never mind, regardless of how easy they are to do, which are the ones that are most effective?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. I actually think that they're all the same.
Okay.
Or it's really going to depend on where you are in your business and what your objectives are. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, strategy 1 is great because, yes, it's easiest. And it will think about it. You see, it can give you massive growth. I have a client who published a book a couple of years ago, and when she published the book, she phoned all of her clients and said, I've written a book, I'd like to bring you a copy. So she didn't send it to them, she took it to them, and she traveled all around the country. You know, she had 4 meetings in one day in London or something, and she got a shed load of work out of it, because they all went, oh, actually, could you come in and do this project for us? So that for her gave her massive growth. And she knows that anytime things start going a bit quiet, the first thing she does, because she goes, what would Chantal tell me to do? She gets on the phone and she talks to her existing clients. So that for her gives her really big growth. The second strategy, selling new services to existing clients, again, can give you really big growth if you've got something new and exciting to be delivering to them. If you're not already thinking about developing a new service, I would actually keep out of that strategy, and I would focus on 1 and 3. It works. Strategy 2, selling a new service to existing clients, works well if you know that there's a market for whatever it is that's new that you're developing, and or you've got something like a new book or a workshop that's coming out. Strategy 3, existing services to new clients, can also give you big growth because you're going to brand new clients and contacts. But equally, it could not bring you big growth, because you might have clients who say, well, actually, I don't need a huge amount of work. So I think actually what's most successful, Paul, is a combination of the 3. I always advise that you start with number 1. A lot of people forget about their existing clients and they don't go back to them and say, what do you need? So start with number 1 and do as much there as you can before looking at 2 and 3. Sorry, no definitive answer, but is that helpful? Brill. Cool. Thank you for asking. Alison, you had a question. Do you want to Alison, I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear Alison, or is it just me? We can't hear you, I'm afraid. Oh.
I can't hear either.
Type it in. Yes. And while Alison's typing in her question, Catherine has shared a goal. Goal for me is to write or present a paper at a conference or put myself forward for recognition. Yay! I'm conscious there must be a formula to write up these ideas and get some experience at it. Support with a company. Is there support out there for this type of thing, or doesn't that cost the earth? Catherine, love your goal of getting recognition and presenting a paper. Well done. Big and scary and exciting, but yeah, go for it. In terms of, I would talk to other members of the ICG about how to do this, because you need to have the research project that you can write the paper about. You need to know where to be presenting it. Now, I'm not an expert on where to present, but talk to your fellow ICG members about the type of conferences that they go to, the type of conferences that your clients go to. The other thing I would encourage you to think about is, apart from getting recognition, what else do you want to use the paper for? So for instance, you might want to use the paper to help you get new clients in a particular industry, in which case look for conferences that type of client attends. So make it really targeted. You need to be, with all of your marketing, you need to be targeted and specific. And Lucy says, enter the ICG award next year. Brilliant. There we go. There we go. Talk to Lucy. Yay. Thank you. Connection. Alison, hello. Have you typed your message in somewhere? She's typed it. Okie doke. So, Alison, are you okay if I read this out to everyone? So, Alison says, I'm not based anywhere near London or the South, so it's difficult to meet new contacts other than ICG get-togethers. What other recommendations do you have for getting in front of prospective clients and being able to talk with them too? Very good question. Where are you based, Alison? She's going to get her globe out now and show us. Glasgow. Okay. So have a look for networking events in and around Glasgow. Talk to don't talk to Lucy and the team at the ICG, because they will be able to put you in touch with other ICG members in your neck of the woods. There are bound to be other ICG members in Scotland, so talk to them. These days, with this wonderful technology that we have, you can Zoom meetings with people. You don't actually have to go face to face. So, if there's somebody on the ICG directory who's not a million miles from you, you can meet up with them. But if there's somebody that you want to talk to, arrange a Zoom meeting with them. Alison also says they're mostly SME focused, and SMEs don't buy my kind of research. Okay, good point. So that was the next thing I was going to ask Alison, was well, make sure you're really clear on who your ideal clients are, and then it's about finding out where they network. Now, larger, they are London. Okay, so Alison says that so Alison, are you saying that your ideal clients are mostly in London? Yes. Okay, cool. I love this technology. Okay, so the thing to be looking at then is for events that are in London that you can get to, and online events. But also, this is where the power of referrals and recommendations comes in. Because if you do a specific type of research, talk to other ICG members about what you specialise in. A lot of networking groups, I don't know if this happens within the ICG, but a lot of networking groups encourage one-to-ones between members. So get to know other members who can then recommend you. Because ideally, if you have a real specialism and it's your thing, and somebody says to one of the other members, oh, who do you know who can do this? They'll go, oh, that'll be Alison up in Glasgow, and get in that way. Alison, if you can identify the industries that your clients are in, find out what conferences and events they have. And because of the wonderfulness of COVID, a lot of events are still being online, or they're being hybrid, or there's the option to Zoom in, even if there's a real live event going on. So I would take that tack as well, and look at what events are still online that you can get to. But I think definitely for you, more networking within the ICG. There is, I haven't looked for a while, but I'm pretty sure you've got a fab directory on the ICG where you can put details about who you work with and what you do. Make sure that that's up to date. Oh, Jeannie, Alison, perfect. She's in London on the 31st. Have coffee with Alison. Meet up with her. Pack in as many coffees as you have. Have an unofficial ICG meetup somewhere. There you go. Brilliant. And that's the thing about planning ahead. If you know you're going to be somewhere, I'm going to Newcastle not next week, the week after, because I'm going to spend the day with a new client. I'm going up the day before because I hate going on the day, because just in case the trains are late. So I've arranged to meet a client the evening before. This is a client I've been working with on Zoom for 2 years, never actually met him. So we're meeting up for dinner on the first night. I've then got the day with the client, and I'm going to a networking meeting that evening. And I booked the day with the client that day because I knew I could go to the networking event that evening. And it's a networking group of professional speakers, and I work with quite a few of them. So plan ahead, know where you're going to be, and then put the word out. So yes, somebody go and have coffee with Alison. That's fab. Love it. Okay, I do want to move. Any other questions about Alison? Has that been helpful? Is that giving you some pointers? Yay! Big thumbs up. Wonderful. Thank you for asking, and thank you for typing in your questions. Any other questions about the strategies that we've been talking about? Nothing yet. Okay. We've looked at where you are now. I can walk 6 miles without injuring myself. We've looked at where you want to be. I want to be able to walk 62 miles in 2 days without killing myself, without getting heat stroke, without falling out with my partner. How am I going to get there? Well, what we worked out is that we needed to build up our walking distance and our speed gradually. We actually we walked for charities. I walked for Alzheimer's Society, and my partner walked for Alzheimer's Research. And Alzheimer's Research sent us or maybe it was the organizer, I can't remember, they sent us a brilliant training plan which said, on this day, walk this distance, and it built up gradually. So that was our strategy of walking further and faster and what to eat. That was the fun bit, actually, figuring out about what to eat and how often to stop and how often to drink and how much water to be drinking. So that was our strategy. And you need to be doing all of that for your business as well. But there's a missing element here that a lot of people miss, and it's this one here. It's number 4. It's about getting clear on who your targets are. When I was walking up on the Ridgeway taking these photos that beautiful winter's day, I was actually taking photos specifically for this talk, which I've done a few times in different places. And I was thinking, oh, it's targets. It's the 4th one. Where do I take a photo of this? And I turned round, and they train racehorses up on the gallops. And I turned round, and there was the number 4 furlong marker with a bit of Didcot Power Station in the background. Oh, the chimney isn't there anymore. They've knocked that down. So it's about getting really clear on who your ideal clients are. And the dog is coming to get involved. You are not an ideal client. You're not being an ideal office assistant. Go away. She's all right. So it's about being really clear on who you want to work with. It's not about taking on every single piece of work just because you need the work. So you can be thinking, when it comes to research, be thinking about the types of business, the types of industry that you want to work in. It's very tempting to say, well, I can work with all industries. That actually makes it much harder for your clients to work out whether or not they could work with you. I specialize in working with coaches, consultants, and speakers. That's what I do. I don't work with people who make products or widgets or dog food or mobile phones. And over the years, when anyone's approached me and said, well, could you help me market my products? I've always said no, but it's just not my thing. And actually, even more than that, my favorite clients are people where there are probably no more than about 3 or 4 people in the business. And it's where I get to work with the business owner. So the client I mentioned earlier, the mother-daughter team, I first worked with Sarah probably 10, 15 years ago. And then she went off and did her own thing for a while. And then Harriet joined the business 3 years ago. So I'm still working with the founder, and actually Harriet is a joint partner. So I love working with the individuals of businesses. So I'm really clear on that. So if a large company came to me and said, oh, well, we're a service business, can you work with us? The answer would probably be no, because they're not who I want to work with. I really like working with small companies. So get clear on the industries that you want to work with, the size of business. You can be thinking about kind of the ethos and the ethics of the business. If there are types of business and industry that do certain things that you don't want to be involved in, that's fine. Don't work with them. Stick to your principles, stick to your values, and work with companies that really resonate with you. Think about the size. Think also about the individuals within the companies, because while you might be working with big corporates, it's very much about building up relationships with the individuals. They are, after all, real people. Don't think about them as an organization. Think about the individuals. And when you can find people who support you, champion you, cheer you on, get those relationships really strong. What I often see is, in fact, I was talking to a client on Monday. He's a coach, and he's done a lot of work with an NHS trust in London, has a really strong relationship with his contact there, to the point where his contact will phone him up and go, oh, I've got a bit of a problem. Can I pick your brains for half an hour? They've got that sort of relationship. The client has moved to a new company, and he's taken my client with him. So while he's been able to introduce him to his replacement at the NHS trust, we actually think that my client is going to get more work from his chap in his new organisation, because this guy loves what my client does for him, loves what Ian does, and says, come on, come along with me. So when you find people who champion you, and it's usually because they have the same beliefs and values as you. A lot of my clients have dogs. A lot of my clients have cats. Some of my clients even have horses and chickens. I have cats, dogs, horses, and chickens. There's only one dog in the office at the moment. The other one's asleep in the house. But, my clients understand that there are times when I will be out with the director of HR, that's the horse, or I'll be out with the director of perspective, that's the dog. And we have conversations about cats and dogs and horses. So get to know your clients on that sort of level. And okay, they don't necessarily have to have a dog if you have a dog, but it's about the values. So my clients know that for me, it's really important for me that I can get outside, get fresh air on a regular basis. And when it all gets too much, that I can go off and have a walk, which is why I love the fact that Peter's still marching along on his treadmill while he's watching and listening to this. So get to know your ideal clients on a personal level. There he is. He's still going. I love it. That's fab. That's a cool way of taking exercise. You probably wouldn't work if you were running and you were trying to talk to somebody because you'd be out of breath. But walking is fine. And that's what I don't answer phone calls when I'm on my horse, by the way, because I just wouldn't.
I'm out of breath walking.
That's a good sign, though. That's a good sign that you're taking exercise. I love it. So yeah, get to know your clients on a personal level. It's one of the reasons that I know the birthdays of a lot of my clients, and I can just send them a card. And I've had it in the past where I've worked with a client in a particular organisation, and when they leave, their replacement, we just don't get on quite so well, and it sort of all fizzles out, and that's fine. But go with the person who you were working with. LinkedIn is fabulous for this, by the way. When one of your clients moves to another company, you should get a notification that says they've moved. I mean, ideally, you should know that they're going beforehand. But when you find out that they're going, go and congratulate them. Have a conversation with them. Don't just do the standard congrats on the new job message that you can send. Pick up the phone and have a chat with them about where they've gone and what they're up to and what research help they might need going forwards. So really think about the individuals that you want to work with. Look at your existing clients. I was talking to somebody recently who said, oh, I've got clients in lots of different industries and different sizes of business. There's no common theme. And I said, what do these people do when they're not working? And he said, oh, that's interesting. Quite a few of them are quite into sport. And he's a very sporty person. So I said, there you go. There's one of your connectors. That's why you've ended up working with these people, because that's what you have in common with them. Saying that, it is also in your industry, in the research industry, it is quite useful to know what your specializations are. So rather than saying, yes, I can do everything to everyone, get clearer on the types of research that you love doing, the types of projects you want to do, and the types of clients and industries that you want to work with. Okay, more coffee. Any more questions? Stunned silence. Okay.
I think we're running out of time shortly, Chantal, so we're going to have to think about wrapping it up now, I think.
That's absolutely fine. Summary time. Strategy before tactics. I mentioned this earlier. When you're looking to get off the feast and famine roller coaster, it's really about planning ahead. It's not about frantically jumping into doing some marketing, going networking, putting up a new website, pumping out loads of material on social media. It's about going back to basics. So what I really encourage you all to do is spend between now and the end of this year, go back to the strategy. Look at, where am I now? What makes me different? How can I really stand out? Where do I want to be next year? What are my goals and objectives? And how does that link to my long-term goals and objectives? How am I going to get there? Which of those strategies am I going to use? And remember that strategies 1, 2, and 3, you can be running them concurrently. Strategy 1 and 2, a lot of it is about keeping in touch. So there's a lot you can do for both of them at the same time. Don't do 1, then 2, then 3. And get really clear on who your ideal clients are. Make decisions about who you really want to work with, and get clear on that. And when you've done all of that, that will actually help you put together a plan of action for next year. Because once you've done all this thinking, then you can be going, okay, so if I'm only looking for 5 new clients, do I need to be putting out 5 tweets a day or 5 LinkedIn posts a week? No, you probably don't. When you know exactly who your ideal clients are, you'll get a real feel, and Alison, this should help you too. You'll get a real feel on where they hang out, what events they go to, which websites they look at. where else they get help, which conferences they go to, and then you can be much more targeted in your marketing and be talking to them. And make time to do some marketing. I don't do client work on Mondays. Mondays are for marketing Mondays. That's what I spend time on Monday, to make sure that you book some time into your diaries so that you can get some marketing done, so that you don't get stuck with, I got no clients, I have to do lots of marketing. Oh, talking of marketing Mondays, this is something I set up in lockdown. I run, they're free Zoom calls. They're a bit like this, or they're more Q&A. I don't prepare anything. It's just, who's got a question? It's open to all of you if you'd like to come. The next one is on Monday, the 7th of November. They're always on the first Monday of the month. And if you'd like a copy of my book, Magnetic Marketing, this one here, the work we've gone through today, the first 4 chapters of the book go through it in much more detail. Special offer, if you go to that link that's on the screen there, you can get your special offer and grab a copy. I've just noticed a question from Catherine. Mondays tend to be the day people are catching up with emails, planning their week. Friday's the day they're winding down. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't work on Fridays, so for me, making phone calls and doing marketing on Fridays doesn't work. What I tend to do is start the marketing on a Monday, and I might be making calls and leaving messages. And if I don't get through to somebody, I will always say, call me back. And if I don't hear from you, I will phone you on Thursday. So actually, what you really need to do is a little bit of marketing every day. Mondays are good for me in terms of running Marketing Mondays, but also things like, if I've got a newsletter to write, that's when I get it done, to make sure I get it done. Yes, you're right, Catherine. Fridays don't work for most people. Mondays aren't bad. I would avoid Monday mornings because they do tend to be catch-up times. But Monday afternoons, if you haven't kind of got through everything by then yeah, give it a go and find out what works for other people. If you phone somebody on a Monday and they say, no, I'm too busy, ask them when you can phone back. So fab. Lucy, Sally's back. Hello. I think I'm done. Shall I shut up now?
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Chantal. That's just been amazing. Some really good tips there, and a lot of ideas on networking as well, which is just great. So thank you for your time today. And yeah, definitely encourage people to go onto that link and either take part in the Q&A calls or get the book, Magnetic Marketing. I'm certainly interested in looking at that. Anyway, just a quick word that I see Paul is on there. In a couple of weeks' time, we've got another webinar which is on a similar sort of theme, 5 hints and hacks to help your business grow more effectively. So for anybody who's really interested in working on their business development next year, then I definitely encourage you to join in on that webinar as well. Otherwise, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for logging in, everyone, and look forward to joining us again at a future webinar. And thanks again to Chantal.
Thank you, Chantal.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Chantal.
You're welcome. Bye.